My son locked me in the guest room and moved his wife into my bedroom. So I sold the whole damn house. My son said it was just temporary, that I'd be more comfortable in the guest room. Then one day I came home and found my clothes packed, my bedroom locked, and his wife sleeping in my bed like she'd earned it. But what they didn't know was I still owned the whole house. And while they were sipping wine and calling me a burden, I was planning the kind of revenge that doesn't knock. It signs paperwork. Before I begin my story, I just want to say thank you for listening to me pour my heart out. Let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is. I love hearing from you. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. It helps me more than you know. Now let me tell you what really happened. I didn't mind giving up space. I'd done it my whole life. I gave up space in my closet so Andre could have more school uniforms. Gave up space in my savings account so he could get a car for college. Gave up space in my marriage, my time, my body, all to make sure my boy had what he needed. So when Andre and his new wife Kendra needed a few weeks to stay after they got married, I didn't hesitate. Of course they could move in. The house was big enough. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. I figured I'd sleep in my room, they'd take the guest room, and we'd share meals like family again. But Kendra had other ideas. From day one, she acted like she was doing me the favor. The way she walked in, sunglasses on inside the house, didn't even call me Mama D like Andre always did. Just Dolores, like I was a tenant in her rental. That first night, she complained about the mattress in the guest room. "It's too stiff," she said. "It's making my back hurt." Andre gave me a look across the dinner table. I could already see it coming. "Ma," he said, "what if Kendra and I use the master for now? You're smaller anyway. You don't need all that space." I blinked hard. "Andre, your daddy and I slept in that room for 30 years. "I know, Ma, but Kendra's got her back issues." "She's 38, I said. "Her back will be fine." Kendra pouted like a teenager. Andre rubbed her shoulder. That night, I went to bed in the master anyway. It was still my room, my bed, my memories. But the next afternoon when I came back from the market, my things were packed into boxes and stacked outside the door. The door was locked. I stood there on that hallway rug, staring at my own life in cardboard. Andre came out of the kitchen like nothing happened. "Oh yeah, we moved some stuff around to give you more space. We figured it'd be easier this way. Now you can use the guest room without asking permission." "Permission?" I said. "In my own house. Come on, don't make this a big thing." Kendra appeared behind him wearing my satin robe like it was hers. She had rollers in her hair and held a mug that said, "Queen." She smirked at me like she'd won something. That night I slept in the guest room on a stiff mattress with one outlet that didn't work and a broken closet door. The room was cold and drafty. My knees ached something fierce. I didn't say anything because I was raised to believe that mothers endure. But endurance has a limit. The next day, Kendra had her friends over for brunch. I wasn't invited. I heard them laughing about how some old people don't know when to step back. Later, I found my wedding portrait face down in the hallway closet. My husband's army medals tossed in a shoebox under paint cans. My photo albums pushed aside for Kendra's skincare fridge. Andre avoided eye contact. I heard him whisper to her one night, "Don't worry, she's quiet. She'll adjust." Adjust? This was my house. I didn't just pay for it. I built the bones of it with my back and my prayers. When the roof leaked in '89, it was me up there with duct tape. When Andre needed braces, I skipped heat that winter. When the bank threatened foreclosure, I picked up a second job at the school cafeteria. And now I was being shuffled around like old furniture by my only child. Then it got worse. They put a new lock on the master bedroom door. Not just the turn knob. A keypad. I asked Andre for the code. "It's just for privacy," he said. "You know boundaries." "Boundaries? In my house." "This is still your house," he added quickly. "We're just building a future here." And I was just the past. They never said it out loud, but every sigh, every shrug, every closed door screamed it. If you've ever felt invisible in your own home, drop a heart in the comments. Because what came next broke mine completely. That weekend I tried to make Sunday dinner. Fried chicken, greens, cornbread. Andre's favorites. Kendra waltzed in halfway through and said, "Oh, we're doing takeout tonight." My stomach's too sensitive for all this grease. Andre nodded along. They ate sushi in the master bedroom while I ate alone at the dining table I bought with my first tax refund. No blessing. No thank you. Just silence. The kind of silence that makes you remember things. Like whose name is still on the deed. Like which drawer still holds the business card for Monica Reeves, my lawyer since 2005. Like the fact that I might be old, but I'm not done. They thought I was too quiet to fight. They thought being tired meant I was weak. They thought calling me Ma while pushing me into the guest room was enough to keep me from reclaiming what's mine. But the thing about guests is they leave. And I was about to show them how. I stopped cooking. That was the first change. Andre didn't notice. Kendra did. She made a comment about how I guess retirement finally kicked in and laughed like I wasn't standing 3 feet away. I let her laugh. Let her think I'd given up. But I wasn't resting. I was watching. They filled my house with noise. Kendra invited her sisters over nearly every weekend. Andre let their friends crash on the living room couch. I started finding false eyelashes in my sink, nail glue on the kitchen table, a spilled bottle of foundation on the arm of my late husband's recliner. I asked Kendra to be careful. She said if it bothers you, maybe don't sit there. It was the same chair I held Andre in when he had asthma attacks at night. The same one where his father read him bedtime stories in a voice so soft it put the birds outside to sleep. I cleaned it with a wet cloth that night. The stain didn't come out. I didn't try again. The worst part wasn't the mess. It wasn't even the way they moved through the house like they'd built it themselves. It was the way they erased me without ever raising their voice. Kendra turned our dining room into a content corner for her YouTube channel. Ring light, white backdrop, my grandmother's lace doily stuffed in a box behind it. Vintage doesn't get clicks, she said. One day, I came back from the pharmacy and found all my china boxed up and labeled donation. I stood there for a minute just staring at the boxes. Kendra walked in wearing one of my scarves, holding a half-empty glass of wine. You like it, she said, lifting the scarf. It gives me that grown woman vibe. I didn't answer. I just picked up one of the boxes and carried it to my room. The guest room, I mean. The room with the faulty heater, one dresser, and no closet rod. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the floral wallpaper I used to think was ugly. Now it was the only thing in that house that still belonged to me. That night, I tried to access the master bathroom. My knees were acting up and I just needed the tub. The guest bathroom had a stand-up shower with slippery tile floors. I knocked. Kendra opened the door halfway, holding a robe closed at the neck. Is there an emergency? I need to soak. My knees are swelling. Andre appeared behind her. Ma, we talked about this. That bathroom's our space now. Just use the other one. The tub doesn't work. I've told you that twice. Maybe you can get someone to fix it, Kendra said, shrugging. We're on a budget. I looked at Andre, my only child. He couldn't even hold my gaze. They closed the door. I stood there for a while, not knocking again, not begging, just standing there like a ghost nobody remembered to bury. I called Monica the next day from the public library. She didn't ask a lot of questions, just listened, took notes, told me she'd look into recent comps in the neighborhood and begin paperwork for a partition sale. I want to move quiet, I told her. I don't want them tipped off until the papers are signed. Understood, she said. That was a Tuesday. By Friday, Kendra was telling people she wanted to start a garden out back. She walked through my yard in heels, pointing at places she'd level out. Said she might tear up the old swing set. Said she wanted a hot tub. I don't care what the HOA says, she laughed. We'll charm them. She already thought it was hers. Monica called the following week. She had a buyer. Full cash. No contingencies. The buyer didn't care who lived there now, just wanted clean paperwork and fast turnover. I told her to proceed. I made photocopies of everything. The deed, the signed agreement, the buyer's offer. Put it all in a manila envelope and slid it under the mattress in the guest room, right next to my mother's old Bible. The good one with the broken spine and the names of all our family births and deaths written in the margins. I didn't talk much that week, just watched. Andre had started referring to the master bedroom as our suite. Kendra posted an Instagram story with the caption, Home Sweet Home #Marry Life. They had no idea. I started packing quietly. Just the essentials. A few clothes, my late husband's pocket watch, some photo frames, my crochet needles. Kendra asked why I was cleaning. I'm making room, I said. Feels like things are shifting. She laughed and said, good. Because I want to turn that guest room into a nursery eventually. That was the last straw. Not because they were thinking about a baby, but because she thought she could build a family in a house she stole from the woman who made it a home. I didn't flinch. Monica called the next day to confirm the closing date. End of the month, she said. I'll bring the papers by. I asked her to have the sheriff deliver the notice on a Sunday. You sure? She said. I want them dressed up. I want her lashes on. I want him holding that damn mimosa when it hits. She said nothing for a moment. Then she said, "It's done." I hung up the phone and sat on the edge of the bed. The guest bed. The cold bed. The one they thought they'd forced me into. And I smiled because they locked me in a room, but I still held the key. The morning the papers were signed, I wore white. Not for purity, Lord knows that was long gone between me and my son. I wore it because I wanted to look like peace. The kind of peace that unsettles people who know they did you wrong. Monica arrived right on time like she always does. Her heels clicked across my porch and echoed down the hallway like Judgment Day. She had a folder under her arm, a smile on her lips, and a document that would finally turn the tide. "Are you ready?" she asked, sitting across from me at the kitchen table I was once told not to touch because Kendra just polished it. I nodded. Cash buyer, quick sale. No inspection delays, title's clean, taxes are current, and since you're the sole deed holder, Andre and Kendra have no legal ground to stall. "I want them served on Sunday," I said. Mid-morning. Monica didn't even blink. "I've already booked the sheriff." That night, I slept deeper than I had in weeks. No creaking doors, no whispers outside the guest room, no Kendra stomping around in my slippers. Just silence. The kind that comes when the decision's been made and all that's left is execution. Saturday came and went like a countdown. Andre was outside washing his car. I stood behind the curtain and watched him rinse down the hood like he didn't have eviction paperwork coming in the mail. Kendra was filming some nonsense on the porch, talking about manifesting blessings into their lives. The irony nearly knocked me over. I didn't speak a word to them. I just made cornbread, watered the roses, and ironed my church blouse. Sunday morning came. I was sipping tea when I heard the knock. Not a gentle tap. A firm, official business, we have papers knock. Monica and the deputy stood at the door, both dressed sharp. Andre opened it barefoot in sweatpants. His face dropped. Monica handed him the envelope and said, "This property has been legally sold. You have 30 days to vacate. This notice has been filed with the county and a formal letter will follow." Kendra appeared behind him, still in her robe, hair wrapped, holding her phone. "What is this?" Andre opened the papers. His eyes scanned the first few lines and his face went ghost white. "You sold the house," he said, spinning toward me. I took another sip of tea. "You can't do this," he snapped. "We live here." "No," I said calmly. "You stayed here. This is our home." "No, this is the home I let you into. And then you locked me out of my own bedroom and called it a favor." Kendra started stammering. "You're throwing your own son out. After everything we've done for you." I set my tea down. "You boxed up my life, Kendra. You wore my robe. You turned my master bedroom into your little kingdom and thought I'd die quietly in the guest room. We were building a family here." I stood up slowly. "Then build it somewhere else." The deputy stepped forward. "You have 30 days to vacate. After that, it becomes a matter for enforcement." Andre looked at me like a little boy who just realized his mama wasn't going to bail him out this time. "I can't believe you're doing this." I looked him in the eyes and for the first time in my life, I let the disappointment show. "I believed in you," I said. "That was my mistake. If you think I was wrong to sell that house, write wrong in the comments. If you think they got what they deserved, write served. I want to know where you stand." They didn't say much after that. Just stood there frozen while the brunch guests arriving that morning didn't know whether to hug or run. Kendra slammed the door behind her. Andre followed. Monica and I stood on the lawn a minute longer, watching as the neighbors peeked out through curtains, pretending not to be listening. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded. "Better than I've been in years." We drove to the bank that afternoon and finalized the deposit. It was a large check, more than I expected, but I didn't smile at the number. The smile came when I handed Monica a folded piece of paper. "What's this?" "The listing for a small 2-bedroom condo across town. It's near the senior center. Walking distance to the park." She looked it over. "You want to buy this in cash?" I nodded. She was already pulling out her phone. "I'll make the call." We closed within a week. The condo wasn't big, but it was mine. Fresh paint, clean windows, a quiet porch with just enough space for 2 rocking chairs and a lemon tree in a pot. I didn't tell Andre where I moved. He tried calling once, left a voicemail that said, "You went too far, Ma." I blocked him. Kendra sent a Facebook message saying I was toxic and ungrateful. I reported it as harassment. Tyler, my granddaughter, found me anyway. She showed up at the church one Sunday with her backpack and her big brown eyes and hugged me for 5 straight minutes. "Can I visit?" she asked. "Baby," I said, "you can stay as long as you want." We cooked greens that night and played old jazz on the stereo. She helped me arrange my photo albums and told me about school. I gave her her own key. That evening I stood on my new porch, tea in hand, and watched the sun fall behind the hills. There was no ring light, no loud music, no stomping heels or slammed cabinet doors. Just peace. The kind you pay for, not with money but with courage and one well-timed signature. And it was worth every single ounce of betrayal. Because I didn't just sell the house. I sold the illusion that they ever controlled me. The thing about people like Andre and Kendra is they don't believe they can lose. Not really. They believe they're too clever, too charming, too connected. They smile through disrespect and call it boundaries. They manipulate with soft voices and say they're just trying to help. But when consequences come, when someone finally outsmarts them, they fall apart like wet tissue. After they got served the eviction notice, the energy shifted. The house grew quiet. Kendra stopped blasting music in the living room. No more girls' nights. No more cocktail glasses lined up on my kitchen counter like trophies. Just tension. Raw, bitter tension. They stopped speaking to me completely. Fine by me. I had already moved on in every way but physically. Every morning I made coffee, read my Bible, and looked out the window at my roses. They were blooming again, strong and pink, like they had something to prove. Kendra started pacing more. She spent most of her time on speakerphone with her sisters, calling me crazy, vindictive, and spiteful. I heard her crying through the walls once. She was in the master bedroom, my bedroom, saying, "I don't want to go back to renting. I told you we should have pushed her to sign the house over." Pushed me? That's all I was to them. An obstacle in the way of their fake luxury lifestyle. Andre tried to fight it, of course. Sent Monica an email threatening to contest the sale. Monica replied with 3 words, "Too late." Legally, he didn't try again. Instead, he sulked. He walked around like a ghost, probably realizing for the first time that he was just a guest in the house he tried to steal. I didn't feel bad. Not after what they did. Not after what they made me feel. The real turning point came 2 weeks before the deadline. Andre knocked on my door, my guest room door. I didn't answer right away. I wanted him to feel that uncertainty. When I did open it, he looked rough. Eyes bloodshot, hair uncombed, voice shaky. "Can we talk?" he said. I stepped out into the hallway and closed the door behind me. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," he started. "We just needed some time to figure things out. We thought you'd understand. You locked me in the guest room, Andre. I didn't lock you. You put a keypad on my bedroom door and acted like I should thank you for it." He sighed. "Kendra pushed that. Not me." I folded my arms. "And you let her. We're losing everything, Ma. You lost it the moment you forgot who this house belonged to." He didn't speak after that. Just looked at me like he was seeing a stranger. "Goodbye, Andre," I said. "You've got 2 more weeks." I closed the door. The night before the move-out date, I made one last meal in that kitchen. Sweet potatoes, mac and cheese, fried catfish. I didn't do it for them. I did it for the house. For the memories. For the version of me that used to cook in silence while dreaming about rest. Kendra didn't come down. Andre passed through the kitchen and stared at the plate I'd made for myself. "You really going to eat like that while we pack our lives up?" "Yes," I said, "because I packed my life up 10 months ago and you didn't blink." He walked away. The next morning, a moving truck pulled up around 9. I watched them load it from my chair in the backyard. I didn't speak, didn't wave, just sat there with my tea and my rose clippers. They left around noon. No goodbyes, no apologies. The moment the truck was gone, I walked back into the house one last time. Every room echoed now. The walls looked stripped bare, like they had shed the noise, the tension, and the entitlement all at once. I ran my fingers along the hallway, touched the door frame where I used to measure Andre's height, touched the corner where my husband's recliner used to sit. I walked into the master bedroom, not theirs anymore, and stood there in silence. The house felt clean again. The next day, I met Monica at the title office. She handed me the final check and a new set of documents. "Congratulations," she said. "You're officially out." We shook hands. I didn't cry. I drove to my new condo with the windows down and the radio playing old soul music. I parked, grabbed my things, and walked into a home that had no memories yet. Just possibilities. That evening, Tyler came by. She ran in and hugged me so hard I nearly dropped the grocery bag. "I hate them," she whispered. "Don't," I said gently. "Just remember what not to become." We made dinner together. She played music from her phone while we danced around my small kitchen like 2 women who'd survived something unspeakable. After she left, I stood at the window and looked at the stars. There were no locks on my door that I didn't choose. No bedrooms I couldn't enter. No laughter that excluded me. I went to bed in a room that belonged only to me under a roof paid for by peace. And I slept like a woman who had taken back her name. Peace makes no sound. It doesn't stomp like Kendra's heels or whisper like Andre's excuses. It doesn't cry behind a locked door or linger like disrespect. Peace just sits with you. Quiet and well-earned. That's what my new home became. I didn't fill it with many things. Just what I needed. My grandmother's quilt, a few photos, my Bible, a new tea kettle. I bought fresh bed sheets and burned lavender oil every night. It was the first place I'd lived where I didn't have to adjust myself for someone else's comfort. I walked freely. I breathed deeply. I healed. Tyler started visiting every weekend. Her school grades improved. Her spirit too. She'd always been a sharp girl, but living around Kendra's snide remarks and Andre's passive silence had dimmed her. Now she talked freely, laughed again. She helped me start a new garden on my tiny balcony. We planted mint, cherry tomatoes, and one little rose bush in a deep clay pot. It's got to be a rose, she said. It's your thing. One afternoon, she asked, are you going to see them again? I knew what she meant. Andre and Kendra. Not unless they come with honesty in their mouths, I said. She nodded, satisfied. I started doing things for myself again. Went back to church, volunteered once a week at the community center, helped organize an estate planning workshop for women over 60. I saw too many faces in that room that looked like mine. Women who'd been pushed out, written off, robbed by the very people they raised. They didn't cry during my talk. They nodded because they knew. They knew what it meant to be used up and silenced with gratitude. They knew what it meant to be told, you should be lucky we're even helping. They knew what it meant to sacrifice for children who turned into strangers with shared DNA. After my talk, one woman hugged me and said, you gave me permission to protect what's mine. That hit deep because for too long we're told to be humble, to give and give and give, and when there's nothing left, to pretend that's still love. But love without respect is just manipulation dressed up in flowers. A month after the sale, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. I opened it slowly, already guessing. It was from Andre. One page. His handwriting a little shaky. Ma, I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I got caught up trying to prove something and I lost myself. Kendra and I split. She said something she can't take back. I know I let you down. I know I hurt you. I miss you. Andre. I folded the letter and placed it in the drawer next to my phone charger. I didn't cry. I didn't smile either. Some wounds don't bleed anymore, but they still ache in the cold. A week later, I received another envelope. This one from Monica. It was the final copy of the sale paperwork along with the closing balance. She'd also included something else, a brochure for a women's housing fund being launched at the community center. A sticky note attached read, you inspired this. Want to help lead it? I stared at the words for a long time. I thought about all the women like me. Women whose sons called them burdens, whose daughters-in-law saw them as background props. Women who weren't senile or fragile or bitter, just dismissed. Yes, I wanted to help. I called Monica and told her I'd match the first 5 donations with funds from the sale of my house. She laughed softly. Dolores, you're building something bigger than a garden now. I smiled. That Sunday, Tyler and I baked sweet potato pies. One for us, one for the church fundraiser, and one for the new neighbors who had moved into the house I sold. A young couple with a baby on the way. I walked up to the porch and knocked. The wife opened the door with a warm smile. You must be Miss Mayfield. The agent said you were the previous owner. I nodded. Just wanted to say welcome and let you know that house has been through a lot, but it still holds love in its walls. She took the pie with wide eyes. That means a lot. I walked away with a lighter heart. I didn't look back. That night, as the sun dropped low, I stepped out onto my balcony with a cup of tea. The rose bush had its first bloom. I reached out and touched the petals. Soft, resilient, rooted. Just like me. The first time I saw Andre again, it had been nearly 4 months since they moved out. He didn't call, didn't write again, just showed up at the church fish fry like nothing had happened. I was at the dessert table helping Tyler serve slices of peach cobbler. She saw him first. Her face froze and she whispered, Grandma. I looked up and there he was. He looked older, not by years, but by the weight on his shoulders. His eyes were tired, his clothes neat but wrinkled like he got dressed without care. There was no Kendra beside him, just him standing in the churchyard with a plate in his hand and a heart too heavy for his chest. He stepped forward. "Ma," he said. "Can we talk?" I wiped my hands on a napkin and nodded toward the edge of the lot by the oak tree. We walked over slowly. My legs didn't move the way they used to, but I stood tall. "I've been thinking about everything," he said. "About what I did, what I let her do, and I don't even know how to apologize in a way that sounds like enough." "Then don't try," I said. He looked surprised. "I was trying to give Kendra the life she wanted. She said you were too stubborn, that we needed control. I thought if I just handle things, you'd thank me." I blinked slow. "You handled things all right," I said. "You handled your mother like a piece of furniture." He swallowed hard. "I deserved that." "You deserved worse," I said. "But I chose silence. I chose peace. You made your choices. I made mine." He looked down. "I lost the house. I lost her. I lost everything." "No," I said. "You lost me." He opened his mouth to respond, but I held up my hand. "You didn't just hurt me, Andre. You erased me. You watched me be diminished in the home I paid for. You locked me out of my own room. You stood by while she mocked me. You didn't stand up. And that's all I needed you to do. Stand up." Tears welled in his eyes. "I don't expect you to forgive me." "Good," I said, calm as still water, because I'm not there yet. We stood in silence for a long time. The sounds of the church crowd floated over from across the lot. Laughter, music, plates clinking. But over here it was just the two of us, mother and son, separated by decisions that couldn't be undone. "I started seeing a counselor," he said finally. "It's been helping." I nodded. "That's a start." He looked at me with so much shame I had to look away. "Is there anything I can do to earn it back?" "Not yet," I said. "Maybe not ever. But I'll tell you this. If you keep showing up in the right places in the right way without asking for applause, you might get close." He nodded slowly. Tyler walked over, plate in hand. She looked at me, then at him. "You okay, Grandma?" I smiled. "I'm fine, baby." Andre looked at her and said, "Hey, sweetheart." She didn't answer, just handed me a cup of lemonade and stood beside me. He got the message. "I should go," he said. I didn't stop him. As he walked away, I felt something heavy lift. Not because he apologized, but because I'd already reclaimed what mattered. He could carry the guilt. I had carried enough. That night, Tyler and I sat on the balcony under a string of thrift store fairy lights we'd hung together. The mint was thriving. The cherry tomatoes were growing strong. The rose bush had 4 new buds. "Do you think he really means it?" she asked. "I think he regrets it," I said. "And sometimes that's all people have to offer." "Will you ever let him back in?" I sipped my tea and looked out into the quiet night. I let go of the house, the fight, the anger. "But my peace," I said, "that has to be earned." She nodded. I reached into my sweater pocket and pulled out a key, one that opened the door to the condo she now called her second home. "This is for you," I said. Her eyes widened. "Grandma." "I want you to always have a place that's yours," I said. "No matter who tells you otherwise." She took the key and held it tight like it meant the world. Because it did. Not just the metal, not just the door, the message. You are not disposable. You are not invisible. You will not be pushed into the guest room of your own life. I kissed her forehead, leaned back in my chair, and looked at the stars. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like someone trying to survive. I felt like a woman who had already won. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Like this video if you believe every woman deserves respect in her own home. And let me know in the comments, have you ever had to choose between keeping peace and keeping your dignity? Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away with your head held high. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories like mine. Because there are too many of us out here, and our voices deserve to be heard.